Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, and I wish to introduce you to the factions of the Warhammer 40k universe. I hope you enjoyed my introduction to the Imperial Guard, the Astra Militarum. So, let us now explore the Militarum Axilla, and specifically, the Ratlings. What is the Militarum Axilla? The armies of the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard, are made up of a dazzling diverse spectrum of cultures, colours, creeds and capabilities, and this is just the standard humans. But there are some groups of humans who have deviated from the genetic norm. When the age of technology ended and the vast majority of worlds were cut off from interstellar travel, many worlds were utterly marooned and developed in a line that was different from the standard. With interbreeding and isolation as the main contributing factors, humanity simply adapted to the circumstances it now found itself in. Most often, this was just culturally, but in many instances, it was also genetically. This comes from a past of colonies that had settled on worlds that could sustain human life, but had substantially different climates, gravity or other effects that have slowly changed the baseline human form into one that is more appropriate for survival on that planet. Whether it be a slow change enacted via the environment on the very structure of the humans, or a preponderance for selected breeding or increased breeding rights for those with the most appropriate traits for maximum benefit from the environment, is never the same on any world. Mutants, who are seen as scum to be wiped from the face of the galaxy, are substantially different from what the Imperium designate abhumans. Abhumans are genetic strains of humans that have deviated from the norm, but are stable and consistent. Some may say they equate to different races altogether, but they have fundamental similarities of mind and body that permit them to be tolerated and, when all is said and done, they have their genesis in the human race, so are grudgingly accepted at some levels of the Imperium, but very few. One of the few levels is the most basic. They can be recruited into the armies of humanity. They can raise regiments to join the Imperial Guard in the Militarum Axilla. Although there were many strains of abhumans that were extant during the period of the Great Crusade, and were often immediately permitted to join in the forces of that great endeavour, over the many millennia of the Imperium, they have become either bred out or quietly exterminated. There are now very few who are still widely accepted, but their contribution to the forces of mankind are seen as more important than the purity of the human gene that they deviate from. How long this will last should the Imperium continue is utterly unknown. But for the moment, let us discuss those who are widely permitted to serve the Emperor as warriors in his auxilia. Let us discuss Ratlings today. A rather unkind epithet, one might initially think. So what are they? Mutated humans who look like rats? No, they are not. The Ratlings are based on the hobbits of the great works of Professor J.R.R. Tolkien, but, like the orcs of Warhammer 40k, the vision has gone so far from its root cause as to be a unique entity unto itself. Ratlings are inhabitants of halcyon worlds, farming paradises that have temperate climes and next to no dangers or predators. Thus, over the millennia that they were secluded from the galaxy at large, the human inhabitants lost much of their need for martial skill or excessive body mass. They are now diminutive beings, akin to humans, that at first glance may seem like over-plump children, like Tolkien's hobbits. Left to their own devices, they will while away years and decades in sedate, harmonious lives of plenty. In the maelstrom of the galactic wars and struggles, these worlds were idols that were the envy of all who encountered them. The natural propensity and skill of the Ratlings to grow crops and cook exceptional, tasty and satisfying food was seen as an enviable existence that few could view without a tear of nostalgia and quiet yearning for the quaint fields and farming life. Alas, when one scratches the surface, this is where the similarity to the hobbits ends. The vast majority of ties to the Imperium exacted from such worlds are a fine slice of the excess food and resources of the world. Only in dire need do the forces of humanity conscript from these worlds, for very good reason, and it is always conscription, never voluntary. Ratlings are recruited for a reason I will explain in graphic detail shortly, but it is always a trial for any Astra Militarum officer to have such regiments under his aegis, for the Ratlings are not hobbits.
No, we has not seen any of the rations. We are sure the Ogrins has them.
Ratling regiments are known to be an utter scourge to have amongst one's camp, for they know no boundaries, and are more akin to the Dark Eldar in their reproductive predilections. Known to be deviants of ghastly depths, they often revolt their brethren's soldiery not only by dint of their genetic differences, but also their unsavoury practices. Also, it is known that any officer who has these wretches under their command are in for a tsunami of complaints from the other company officers, for the Ratlings cannot pass a day without exploring the camps of others, without then liberating the possessions, munitions, personal effects, and fundamental supplies of their comrades. Their ability to move unseen and unheard makes them woefully adroit at passing any picket, any protection, and then helping themselves to anything that should take their fancy, and most things take their fancy. Even if discovered, they are dashed difficult to catch, and seem to possess inhumanly swift strides when being chased by what they call an angry biggin. Cunning and conniving, they will drive any commander to despair. Nor do they show the customary fear of the commissariat that near all other guard do. Many a commissar has been driven to madness in his attempts to instill anything approaching faith, honour, or even discipline in the ranks of the Ratlings. More than a few enthusiastic commissars have had their las pistol, grenades, or chainsword have rare and lethal malfunctions while serving with Ratling regiments. The Ratlings seem to possess fear, but just not of anything that is not chasing them there and then. The only reason that most regiments hold their ire and do not en masse exterminate their little cousins is that the Ratlings, as stated, are exceptionally cunning. When they have elicited enough rage to have their fellow soldiery about to reach for a noose, tar and feathers, is exactly when the little wretches will throw a sumptuous party, a bountiful banquet of deliciousness that will astound and pacify their larger colleagues. Also, they are known to be able to acquire nearly anything, so it is the only recourse for a soldier to gain off-script equipment is to deal with the little magpies. Nothing is ever off-limits, but so too is the cost of the favour done. Again, such services can be done for free, should the tension in the camp be nearing boiling, but make no mistake. The instant the tiny terrors believe that the mood has suitably calmed, they will be back to their debauched and disrespectful antics. They are incorrigible. So, gentle listener, you may be asking, what madman would willingly want such whirlwinds of discord in their camp? What on earth could such tiny beings add to the combat potentials of an Imperial Guard army? And here is where we get to the nub, the rub, the quintessence of the matter. For the Ratlings are lethal, utterly beyond anything one would expect from such Lilliputian farming stock. Now, I want you to close your eyes and think of a Ratling, or a hobbit. Go on. I know what you are seeing right now. You are seeing Frodo and Sam, perhaps Meriadoc and Peregrine, probably in mismatched and dishevelled army fatigues, lounging around and slowly chewing on a carrot while eyeing up the Psyker's fireworks. Am I right? This is utterly true, until they are deployed. Until the guns fire, the bombs fall, and the enemy is charging your lines in their masses. Then the transformation happens. Now, I want you to think of another vision. Let me help you with it.
They cannot seize us in all the confusion, the bright lights, the burning fires. We sneaks, we hides. We seize our officers, we finds their heroes. and we shoot them in the head. We shoot them all in the head.
Get the picture now? Yes. When a Ratling is deployed, they are worth their weight in gold. Their sharp eyes and ability to go unnoticed is matched only by their accuracy. When Ratlings are extant on the battlefield, the enemy is never safe. Anywhere. Impossible shots from angles utterly ignored, as none could possibly be lurking there. The Ratlings are terrifying forces of confusion, but now directed at the enemy. With a precision that is beyond any normal human, and a penchant for picking out the most valuable targets and then removing them with a single bullet, the Ratlings are well worth the effort. The only effort is actually getting them to the battlefield. But should they be there, should they decide to engage, then they are Smeagol with a sniping rifle, Gollum with a gun. Never ending, never tiring, never ceasing in annoying and eliminating the enemy until their foe is totally destabilized, and then, like matadors, they duck and reposition to avoid the mad rush of the foe. There are few armies that can sustain the attentions of the Ratlings and retain cohesion and coherency to their plans. When not deployed as skirmishers and scouts, in which they excel, they are often placed behind walls of slab Ogrin warriors. To get to the Ogrins, you must first weather the withering fire of the Ratlings, but to get to the Ratlings, you must pass a flesh mountain of angry Ogrin berserkers. An unenviable position for most armies to consider, let alone defeat. They also take an insanely worrying level of entertainment and job satisfaction in seeing an enemy formation dissolve into a rabble, as each officer is picked off as they take up their standard or reins of command. A demoralizing situation to say the least, as each officer, one by one, is shot down with amazing accuracy. Ratlings are truly the death jesters of the human race, and a duel between the two would not be as one-sided as any Eldar may think. The only thing I can say now is, thank the Emperor, they are on our side. I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. If you have enjoyed my introduction to the Ratlings, then please do consider liking and subscribing. If so, then please do remember to press the notification button. I would not wish you to miss out.